Welcome to Lifelong Learning. Today we are going to learn about coding standards.
Before we start the video, if you like the contents of this channel, please like, comment and subscribe.
Let's understand the concept of coding standards.
Coding standards are like the recipe instructions for software developers. They provide a clear and consistent set of guidelines for how to write code that's easy to read and understand.
Just like how a recipe tells you how much of each ingredient to use and how long to cook it for, coding standards provide rules for naming variables, formatting code, and writing comments.
Let's have a look at the benefits of using coding standards. Following coding standards ensures that code is not only functional, but also maintainable and scalable. To summarize, we can say that coding standards is the secret ingredient to writing high-quality software. Without them, you might end up with a half-baked codebase that's difficult to understand and maintain. Now we will move Java coding standards that are widely followed all over the software industry. In addition to keeping your code readable, Java coding standards also help ensure that your code runs efficiently. By using the right algorithms and data structures, minimizing code duplication, and handling exceptions properly, you can improve your code's performance and prevent errors from occurring. So, if you want to write Java code that's easy to read, understand, and maintain, be sure to follow Java coding standards. They'll keep you on the right track and help you write code that others will love to work with. If you're programming in Java, you'll want to make sure that you're using the right naming conventions for your classes and variables. For classes, use camel case with the first letter of each word capitalized. For example, if you wanted to create a class representing a car, it could be called car. Variables should also be named using camel case, but with the first letter of the first word in lowercase. So, if you wanted to declare a variable to represent the number of wheels on a car, it could be called number of wheels. Naming correctly will ensure that others can understand your code easier. For example, a class that represents a car could be named car. Variables, on the other hand, should also be named using camel case, but with the first letter of the first word in lowercase. Java code should be well documented with comments that explain the purpose and functionality of the code. Here is an example of how to use comments to explain a method. When naming your classes, methods, and variables, use names that accurately describe what they represent. For example, instead of naming a variable x, use a more descriptive name like number of students. When you have a value that won't change during runtime, declare it as a constant. This helps prevent errors and makes your code more maintainable. For example, you could declare a constant for the value of pi like this. To keep your code readable, limit each line to a maximum of 80 characters. If a line exceeds this limit, break it into multiple lines. Here is an example of how to break a long line of code. Use the appropriate access modifiers to restrict access to classes, methods, and variables. For example, use private to restrict access to a variable or method from outside the class. Generally, classes and methods are declared as public. Instance variables are declared as private. Use exceptions to handle unexpected conditions or errors in your code. However, avoid using exceptions for normal program flow as it can negatively impact performance. Keep methods small and focus to improve readability and maintainability. If a method is too long or does too much, consider breaking it up into smaller methods.